First of all, thank you so much, Scott, for joining me once again on iHeartRadio's Pop Culture Weekly. I appreciate it.
Of course. Hello. Thanks for having me. This is so cool. I've never done like a solo press day before. So
Yeah, it's exciting for you, I'm sure.
yeah, it's very exciting. It's like just wild. I've been wanting to do this for years, but I've always been so scared. So thanks for having me.
Of course, you deserve it. And we're talking about Mars, the single, which is incredible, by the
Thank
way.
you.
Kudos for that. Tell me, what is it like for you? You've been with Pentatonics obviously for, a very long time. And now, as you said, you're just branching out on your own. Are you terrified?
I mean, partially, fortunately, I do think I'm in the headspace where I feel like I have the confidence and I feel good about putting it out and I can go to sleep proud of it. I'm not putting too much pressure on it, but there is a little bit of fear. I mean, that's what held me back for years was just this fear that if I did something solo, everyone would hate it. And I would develop this complex that I'm not interesting on my own without like my bandmates. And so it's cool to see the response to it. And it's something I'm very proud of. And it's done more for me than just being able to put out music. It's just been a therapeutic, beautiful process of being able to be vulnerable and share my story and make art.
And I love that for you. And the single Mars is absolutely insanely good. Uh, Tell me about it. Where did the song come from, and how did we get to listen to it today?
So the song came from, well, during the pandemic, I like learned how to use Pro Tools because I had to record remotely for Pentatonic stuff. And I became obsessed with Pro Tools and producing and writing. So I've started writing a song pretty much every day for the last year. And that's when I really started to be like, I need to do a solo project because a lot of the songs were very personal stories. They wouldn't have totally fit with Pentatonics. And I just like was working my creative muscle and was feeling really confident in them. And probably like 80 songs into that writing a day thing, I wrote Mars. And I was like, oh man, this feels like it could be special, but let me play it for Mark. And Mark was like, this is your best one by far. I love it. He was like crying. And that kind of started the process of talking to labels and figuring out what a solo project would look like. And right around the same time, I was arranging stuff for Megan Trainor's new album, and she put me as a feature on one of the songs. And so it all felt like all the planets, no pun intended, were aligning.
And again, I love that for you, and I love it obviously as somebody who loves your work. What for you, it's got to be freeing in a lot of ways, and in the fact that this is you. This is Scott, and there is none of your bandmates to answer a question that you might not have wanted to, or whatever. It's Scott.
Yeah.
Is that freeing in a lot of ways too? As much as it might be a little bit scary, is that freeing too?
It's both. It's very freeing in that like we usually have to unanimously agree on something creatively. And so that's obviously going to be a process. And it works and I love it. But like also there's just like a lot of voices and so stuff takes longer. But whenever you're doing solo stuff, it's like you can run through 20 ideas at the speed of light, like it's and like really just like make decisions and move on. And so there's a little bit of like a flow that happens, which I think can contribute to making the most authentic art. It's just like moving at a brisk, not overthinking it speed. But at the same time, I am hit or miss with ideas sometimes. Sometimes I have a really good idea, sometimes I have a not so good idea, and I don't have other voices or bandmates to like be brought back down to earth if I have like some crazy idea that's not working. So it feels riskier and it's scarier in that way.
Well, I think, in my opinion, it is very much so paid off. So, congratulations, and I really do mean that. Congratulations for taking that jump because of everything that you're saying, and we get an amazing track like Mars. So, is this more of like a Stevie Nicks thing where you're doing Scott, but you're not abandoning Pentatonix. You're just doing Scott for right now.
Yeah, exactly. Pentatonics is still really busy. We got a full world tour next year and an album and stuff, and I'm fully just as dedicated. Um, and I love that the landscape of the music industry now, like Bruno Mars can be Bruno Mars and also do Silk Sonic, and Anderson .Paak can do it. And like it's just now that things are so efficient, if I have a song idea and I can write it in 2 seconds with like this setup in my hotel in New York and like have the song in a few hours. And so It's honestly not as exhausting as you would think. But there are moments where I'm like have conflicting things, but it's definitely manageable. And I will also say that like doing solo stuff and writing so much and like living this dream of mine has made me a better bandmate, just
Mhm.
mentally and creatively and musically for Pentatonix. Because I've done so much arranging for the solo stuff I'm doing that like our arrangement for the national anthem we just did at the college football game got all this love. And I feel like I was able to make that arrangement as good as it was because of all the stuff I've been doing solo. So I think it's helping.
Awesome. And for Mars, it is so unique. When I first heard of the project, I don't know what I expected, but it was not Mars. And I'm glad that it, went way beyond my expectations. But I was expecting, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but Mars is so deeply rich and layered in not just, in a lyrical way, but musically as well. Is that part of, I mean, obviously it's part of you, but was that intentional with this song, or is it just the way it came out?
It's kind of just the way it naturally came out. So I've at the beginning of the year when I started writing every day, I really did not let myself just have too much of a vision at first because I wanted to see where I naturally went. Because I can tend to like really try to calculate things. And I wrote like silly, dumb, goofy songs, more R&B type stuff. I wrote country sounding stuff. And I kept coming back to kind of this like epic. Epic was like the main word that kind of was this through line. I love choirs and orchestral, and I want it to be big and anthemic. Um, and Mars just like I feel like was a song that I just loved and kept coming back to, and I couldn't stop listening to it. And it seemed to be the close people in my lives' favorites. And that's just what it turned into. But I never really at the very beginning intended for that to be the sound. No.
I love it. And when you went to do the song, was this just you in a hotel room or whatever, just you kind of writing and playing it out and seeing what happens?
Yeah, I was at my house in LA and I just went downstairs and wrote it at piano and like finished the song. And then I brought it to a producer that I love very much named John Levine. And he loved the song and he kind of helped me shape it. And we added a bridge. And then he started actually playing the one piano note at the beginning. And it was like, I'm hearing this kind of like Coldplay slow build thing. And I'm obsessed with that idea. And I was like, that is so perfect. And we just kind of built it out over a couple sessions together. And it was really emotional. It was just so cool to see something come to life from nothing. It was a powerful moment.
I'm sure, and especially to come from a blank page, literally, to this huge, epic, like you said, anthem-ish Coldplay song. That is
Yeah.
so, I mean, so beautiful. The vocals, just everything about it is absolutely beautiful. I'm obsessed with it.
Yay, thank you. That makes me so happy. Thank you.
Of course, thank you for giving it to us. And for when you were writing, for instance, song a day, was this, some of this might go towards Pentatonic, some of it might be for me, or was this I'm just going to write for Scott and it is, it is what it is, and I'll see what I like at the end or whatever.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it changes every day. I'll like have an idea for this like unhinged song that I could never write myself or could be for Pentatonix, but I'll just write it anyways. Just to kind of like work that side of my brain. And some stuff, like if it gets really personal and vulnerable, I'll know it's more for me. And then if it's like a more general, like kind of message that I feel like five people could relate to in the band, I'll be like, maybe this is good for Pentatonics. But then also I've written stuff that have inspired me to like put in a musical or something. So it's more just like the action of writing and being creative and just getting stuff on paper.
I love it. And this interview, as all my interviews, I never script my interviews because I like talking,
Yeah.
conversations better. Part of the problem with that is my ADD, like bounces back and forth to, so I'm like here
Oh,
and there. But
Oh no, I'm the same way.
Oh,
So
awesome. Okay. For Mars, you just released two additional versions of the song, which one is a choir version, and they're both so different. One is the choir version, which I absolutely love, and the other is the acoustic version, which I also love. But I've been particularly obsessed today with the choir version. Was that part of what you envisioned from the start? You were like, I love this song the way it is, but I think it would be cool to kind of do a version like this? Or how did that come about for you?
yeah, I did intend on doing like a choir version of it from the start, and I feel like I want to do that for a couple of the songs on this project, whatever it ends up being. And like the idea actually stemmed from this behind the scenes video I saw of Hugh Jackman singing with a bunch of incredible singers for like The Greatest Showman rehearsal. You
Mm.
have to watch it. And they're singing from now on and they're rehearsing it. And it's so loud in the room. And I just remember thinking I would pay absorbent amounts of money to be in that room, just like soaking up that visceral energy. And it was so cool to see. And so I really wanted to do that for Mars, just get some of like the best singers in LA and just belts, and like it just is a very human intense experience, and it was so fun to do. It was amazing, and the singers were so nice. They were also part of a group called Soko Vocals, which got me into acapella, so it felt kismet.
Oh,
and
wow.
and it was an excuse to release another version of the song.
As you were recording that particular version, did you ever kind of just step back and be like, holy shit, this is my song that I wrote, and here are all these amazing singers, doing choir vocals on my song.
Yes, I had a lot of those moments. I was very teary-eyed multiple times. I also was like, not in an insecure way, but kind of like shy because it like meant so much to me and I was kind of emotional. So I just remember talking to the choir and being like, thank you for being a part of this. Like, it's a really emotional experience for me and I'm just so happy to be here. I was like, oh, so like very humbled by the whole experience. And it was exciting. It felt really fresh and like a new chapter and a new world had opened up for me.
That's cool. And it really does the version, both of the I don't want to say new versions because the song
The
is new,
live
but
version. Yeah.
exactly are so beautiful and give just a different dimension to an already beautiful song. So finally, because I know you have a whole junket today, where can we expect can we expect Mars on an upcoming album? Are you just kind of playing it by ear now? What are you thinking?
So I don't know for sure. The dream is to do an album or an EP. I'm not sure on the timeline, but all of it's being talked about, and it'll definitely be this year. And I just have so many songs I want to put out. If it was like, if I had it completely my way, I would have a video and a song out every week. Just so I've written so much, and there's so much I'm proud of. So it'll be coming soon.
Awesome.
But there's some good songs on there. I'm pumped.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Scott. I can't wait to see, what continues to come of this other aspect of you artistically, and go stream Mars.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that, and thanks for having me. And
Of
thanks for
course.
words about Mars too. I appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you. And for the next project, come on back.
Yes, I'll be here.